I'd like to invite the young and young at heart to come join me here on the steps, and everyone may be seated. So what's today? Easter. Now I'm going to ask you a question and I'm going to give you a hint to the answer. The answer is not the Easter bunny. Okay, this is a hint. That's something else I don't give a hint. What do we celebrate on Easter Sunday? Yeah.
Jesus rose from the dead.
Exactly! Jesus rose from the dead. The Easter bunny helps us celebrate that. Yes. This is the feast of the resurrection. We just heard the story. Jesus had been put to death this whole last week. That's been a hard story for us to hear. It wasn't pleasant. We never like to think about bad things happening to people. But we focused on that all week. And then on the third day, Sunday morning, after he was buried, he rises from the dead. Now, do you think that's possible? When do dead bodies come back to life? Never. They never come back to life, do they? Maybe in the movies. That's right. That's right. You know, a lot of people say it's not really realistic for us in this modern times and scientific minds to think that he really came back to life. It must be a symbol of something, you know, that he's alive in the terms of that we remember him. But I was thinking about that a lot this week, and it made me think of this. An apple. What is an apple, when you look at this apple, what does it make you think of? Fruit? Food? Any stories? Anybody out there?
Adam and Eve.
William Tell.
Adam and Eve.
Adam and Eve. All right, suppose if I do this. Suppose. Oh, when Jesus fed the crowds, that's a good thought. Yeah. Now suppose if I do this, what does it make you think of? Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton. All right, time out for a history lesson. Isaac Newton was a 17th century, lived a long time ago, English mathematician. And he liked to think about how the world works and why does the universe do the things that it does. And the story goes, we don't know if this is true, but the story goes that he was thinking about these things out under an apple tree. And all of a sudden, one of the apples, you know, the tree, the connection between the stem and the tree broke, and the apple, I thought the apple fell to the ground. Somebody at 8 o'clock said it hit him in the head. Who knows? It got his attention. And when he thought about that, he realized, you know, there must be some force, attractive force, between two bodies, any two bodies of mass, this has mass, that they're attracted to each other. Otherwise, when the tree, if that weren't the case, if the tree let us go of its grip of the apple, it would just stay there, right? So there had to be this attractive force. And so he developed his theory of gravity. And of course then Einstein came along a lot later and redeveloped it, and don't ask me to explain that. That's the theory of relativity. But, you know, gravity is something we don't think a lot about, do we? But we take it for granted, but everything we do depends on it, right? When you get up in the morning and you stretch and you put your feet over the side of the bed and then you get up to go get dressed, if there weren't gravity, you couldn't do that, right? When you go to the refrigerator and get out the orange juice or your first cup of coffee, if there were no gravity, you couldn't pour it into the glass. Everything we do depends on gravity. And gravity is always reliable. So if I take this apple to the back of the church and drop it, what will happen? It'll fall. Suppose if I climb up to the top of this canopy, the baldacchino, and drop it. It'll fall. Will it fall in China? Will it fall in the South Pole? In the North Pole? There is no place, right, where if I let go of this apple, it won't fall. The space station. If I'm at the space station and I let go, what happens? It just stays there. It defies the laws of gravity. To us, scientists would say it's not defying the laws of gravity. It's just so far removed from Earth's gravity and it's in orbit that the effects of gravity don't take hold of it. Well, Jesus, whom we read about and learn about and celebrate all through the year, Sunday after Sunday, he spent his whole adult life teaching people about another world. Just like the space station is another world to me. I mean, I know there are people up there, but I can't imagine being there. People live up there. And he talked about there's this whole other world that he called the realm of God, the realm of heaven. And he says in this world, the laws that pull us down, the way things pull us down, like jealousy and hatred and fear and impatience and all these things that make us act in ways that aren't so nice to other people, he said they don't have their effect. It's like gravity at the space station. And he tried to show us that we could get glimpses of that realm right here on Earth. We could simulate it. And you know, just like we can simulate zero gravity, right? Has anybody here ever gone to a simulation zero gravity thing? I want to do that one day. So you just float. It's not really the way things work in this world, but for a moment we can experience it. And Jesus was teaching us there are ways to simulate this realm of God. We've been talking about the Beatitudes all year, and those are key ways. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are the merciful. This month, blessed are those who make peace. Blessed are the meek. He said, when you live this way, you experience this realm where we don't get weighed down by these sinful aspects of our life. And he lived his whole life that way, so much so that when he went through this last week of being betrayed and mocked, made fun of, and tortured and put to death, he could look death in the face and come right up to it to the moment that he died and close his eyes and leap into that new realm of existence where, yes, there's death, but it has no more effect on him than than gravity in the space station. So when people ask me, do I find it far-fetched to believe that Jesus really rose from dead? You don't expect me to believe that, do you? I don't find it personally any harder than believing that there are people in outer space who, when they let go of the apple, it just stays there. So Easter's a great reminder to us that this weightlessness, this defying of gravity that Jesus taught us is not just for him, because he said he would be the first fruits of many from the dead, that he wants us all to take every moment we can to live into that special place, that realm, where even death can't keep its grip because it defies death. And he calls us to start trying to defy gravity. Happy Easter.